welcome back folks, my name's Shane. In today's video we're checking out a range of budget effects pedals. This will be a full pros and cons review and I'll give you my thoughts about them at the end and how they compare up against other brands like Caline or Joyo for example. So stay tuned for that. But a massive thanks to Gokko for sending out these pedals to the channel and sponsoring this video. If you can, leave a thumbs up. You're about to hear 6 or so of these in the context of a jam track, and then we'll get over to some isolated tones, and I'll timestamp everything down below because I'm about to go through all the ones they sent me in a single video. Let's get into it. Alright, let's kick it off. In today's video, I'm plugged into the affordable Joyo Band Amp Tweedy on the Clean channel. It's a great pairing for some affordable pedals for this particular demo. And this is Clean. Now this Mogwai pedals are 2-in-1, so we get Overdrive, which is a high gain overdrive, and a really cool fuzz. So we're going to start in overdrive mode with the toggle switch up. I love this pedal for rhythm and lead guitar. I think it sounds really nice. Here we go. Yeah, it sounds great. Let's crank the gain up a little more. It's got great sustain, what a tone. Let's just crank up the tone control a little bit. We'll max out the drive. Well, not quite, but almost there. So there you go. I mean, there's tone for days there, which is awesome. Let's set everything back to about 1 o'clock and we'll get over to the fuzz and then I'll compare them both. So let's have a listen to this. You can hear the difference already. Now a good fuzz should clean up when you use your volume control, so let's turn it down. So it cleans up nicely, not all the way pristine clean, but that's still pretty nice, and all the way back up. Yeah, it's got this really heavily compressed sound, which you'll either like or you won't. Let's compare now the fuzz to the overdrive. I'll play the same thing. Now, being that this is a high gain overdrive, it doesn't clean up as well as other pedals that I've tested, but it still cleans up okay. That's with my volume control most of the way down, but again, this is all the way up. So there you go. I mean, that's got plenty of great tones if you're into classic rock. Up next, we're over to the Pazuzu. About 3 people will get that reference. If you watch horror movies, you'll get it. If you don't, I apologize. Actually, I don't. Let's get into this. So the Pazuzu gives us kind of like classic overdrive tones thanks to the notch toggle switch in the center. It gives us a whole range of different sounds. It also gives us a noise gate. So if you're playing with higher gain, you're maybe playing a single coil guitar, it'll be noiseless, but these pickups don't buzz. So I'll leave it on anyway so you get a good sense of, or I'll explain how it feels to play anyway. Here we go. And that's the last one. So it kind of feels like it's actually giving us less gain the further right we go with the same setting. The second one to me feels really great to play, as does the first, but let's have another listen to this. We'll go over to bridge pickup. I'm just going to adjust the top end a little bit here. Let's turn up the tone, make it a little brighter in case you want to play some fingerstyle stuff. And this first one sounds a lot like a tube screamer. Now if I turn down, it's still going to clean up beautifully. The noise gate's great, even if I play softly, it doesn't cut off the note. Now if I was to crank it up more, it probably would, but it's doing a really great job. A little bit more with the volume down. I mean, this to me sounds great. If you like sort of vintage or classic overdrive tones, the Pazuzu is the way to go. Over to the Rocket Distortion, which gives us a 3-band EQ and great rhythm or higher gain lead tones. So let's have a listen to this. I've just got the EQ set flat for now, with the gain up at about 1 o'clock. This is bridge. That's a huge sound already. Let's just fatten out that low end, add a little bit of mids. Here we go. Yeah, there you go. So it's pretty versatile, but let's try the scoop sound now. I just backed off the mids and bass, and I also just cranked up the drive. So this is about as much distortion as you can get out of it now. There's a little bit of wiggle room there, but it's still plenty drivey. Here we go. So that's extremely versatile if you want to play with some high gain tones. Over to the Octave Fuzz. Now we get two separate voicings thanks to this toggle switch. So we're going to start with it in the down position, which sounds the most full. And then we can flick it up if we want more of almost a lo-fi sounding fuzz. And then we can click on the octave. Here we go. It's great sustain. Toggle switch up. Now you saw me just turn the volume up, and that's because with the toggle switch up, you're losing almost half the volume with this particular setting. I much prefer this down. Let's take a look now at the octave switch. Here we go. So there you go, and in the up position, I'll just crank the volume a little more, maybe turn the tone down, let's crank the fuzz. Yeah, I definitely prefer this down, and just the overall volume output sounds a lot better as well. And lastly, let's just go for some dynamics here. I'm going to start with my volume control down. So that cleans up pretty well considering how much drive there is on the signal. I'm also just going to turn that treble back up. I much prefer the octave off, but that's just my taste, being that I'm a boring blues guy, mostly. Anyway, over to the Salem Boost pedal, and we're over to the drive channel on the Tweedy. So this is my starting tone on bridge pickup. Now this pedal's great for boosting either another overdrive pedal or an amplifier, whatever. It's essentially like a clean boost, a treble booster, and it can also add overdrive. There's more to this than meets the eye, and I'll show you that now. So we'll just take a look at the range control in the middle to begin with. With it to the left, we're going to get a more full range sound, or we can get a typical treble booster sound with it to the right. Let's have a listen to this. Now, that's not actually adding any more drive. It sounds like it because it's hitting the front end hard, but if you want more drive, you can simply use this control. I'll show you that now. Now, if that's too thin sounding, put it back to the center. You get a lot out of this. It's pretty cool. Back to my clean tone. So dead clean. As you can see, I've got the dirt all the way up, so it's adding dirt. Again, if you want a more full range sound, you can have it. Great for that bridge pickup stuff. Or if you want a cleaner sound, you can bring this down. So this is very versatile. You can use this as a boost into one of the other pedals, or again into a dirty channel of an amplifier. Up next we have the Divine, which is a shimmering reverb. I'm going to start with basically everything at 12 o'clock and we'll take it from there. Let's have a listen. It's got that churchy sort of thing going on. It's pretty cool. Now, you can change the pitch of the shimmer sound. So if I turn it this way, it's going to be a lot lower in its octave. Or of course, I can make it a lot higher frequency. So the decay control controls how long it lingers around for. So if I want it to really dwell, I can turn it to the right. Yeah, that's great. Or of course I can make it much shorter. That's great. And if you want to get kind of crazy, you can turn everything up. Let's do that. So there's almost no dry signal in that. It's a little bit too much for me, but if you want to get kind of crazy with this, you can absolutely do it. Let's try the super chorus pedal now. I've set this up in a way that's not too prominent because chorus can make your guitar sound out of tune if you have the intensity or the width control set too far up. But we'll take a listen to this. So this is my clean tone. So I'm in tune, just for reference. Here we go. So to my ear, that actually sounds pretty great. Now, if you want to speed it up, you can speed it up using this control, and the LED indicator on the front will blink accordingly. And this is as fast as it goes. Let's take a look at the bass filter switch over here. When it's on, you'll see the blue light turn on. When it's off, the blue light will be off. Now, this is pretty subtle to my ear. I can't hear a huge difference, but it says in the manual that this reduces low end on the chorus effect. So we'll have a listen. Over to the Magrane, or however you say it, Magrane Echo Machine. Now we can turn off and on modulation. So if you want modulation, you can turn this switch down or up and it will give us two different voicings there. In the center, it leaves it off. Now, I've kind of dialed this in so you can hear exactly what it's doing. Let's have a listen. Alright, so if you want less repeats, you can turn it this way. So now there's a lot less coming back. If you want the repeats to be sooner, you can turn this way. That's kind of that cool rockabilly kind of thing. And if you want a more prominent mix, you can turn it up this way or back it off using this control to the left. So yeah, you can hear it's sort of got one repeat or so. Let's turn this up just to make it more obvious what's going on here. I'm going to use this filter in the down position. Let's have a listen. All right, let's put it back to the center. Notice the difference on the top end frequency that comes in. And this will accentuate a low end frequency. And back off for reference. All right, let's get wild here. Let's turn all of these up to 3 o'clock. I'll play with the toggle switch as well. I've also noticed when you engage the toggle switch, the modulation, there's a little extra noise that comes through, so just keep that in mind. But let's have a listen to this. And clean. Over to the Paradose pedal. Now, each of these 3 controls, depending on the mode we're in, will relate to a different effect. So what I'm going to do is just set up each of them off camera here, and I'm going to show you the best sound I can get with the time I have with this pedal. So this first one, you can't use, there's no mix control, so it's a very prominent sound. So just know if you buy this one, I highly recommend keeping the instruction manual, as there's a lot to learn, but it's very cleverly laid out with kind of like square, circle, and triangle. So it's nice and simple. Anyway, it'll make sense if you get the instruction manual. Let's give this a go. So that's long Verb, which sounds pretty great, but there's no mix control on this one. So yeah, it is what it is. Over to Spring Reverb again, no mix control. I'm not sure why. There's a decay control, which is how long it lingers around for. But anyway, let's give this a go. You can make it brighter if you want, take out some bass. This next one's Phase Vibrato Verb, and the only way I was able to get this to sound good was by turning the far left control, which is the mix, all the way down. I'll turn it up and I'll show you what I mean. Here we go. Yeah, I don't know about that one. This next one's Tremolo Verb, and I used this in the intro track. This is probably my favorite one on the pedal. It's very usable, and we get a very intuitive setup here. Here we go. Yeah, I like that one. It's kind of reminiscent of a really big reverb and sort of Vox tremolo together. More of like an optical trem, but yeah, similar sort of thing anyway. I like that one. This next one's Flanger Verb, and this actually sounds pretty good as well. I'm gonna play the first couple of chords clean, and then I'll click on the drive channel on the amp. Now you can adjust some parameters like the reverb, you can turn it down if you want as well, or change the speed of the trem. So this one's pretty usable as well, I like it. This next one's Vibrato Verb, so let's give this a go. This is almost the kind of sound I like for sort of comping behind other guitarists. Back to clean. Yeah, again, you know, you got to pick the right one for the job. So if that works for you, go for it. This next one's called Pitch Verb. Have a listen to this. So it's got like an octave over there. That's pretty cool. Let's try it at 12 o'clock. All right, so that's pitching out of tune. Let's try it all the way up. It's like a harmony, interesting. You could definitely create some atmospheric stuff with that if you're way more talented than me, but yeah, definitely out of my wheelhouse. This last one's called Octave Echo, and again, this can pitch shift in any number of different pitches, so it can get weird and it can get creative if you're creative. Let's have a listen. The note's coming out a fraction late on this one. There's a lot of stuff going on in that pedal that makes it actually delayed from my playing time. So let's turn this all the way to the right. It's weird having it just that little bit late. Let's turn this down. I don't know. All right, let's wrap this video up. I'm going to talk about what you need to know about these Gokko pedals and whether or not they're a good value proposition considering the price. Now, these are very inexpensive when you compare them up against a lot of other brands. They heavily remind me of the early days of Caline or Joyo in terms of their build quality, and they weren't bad pedals whatsoever, but they've got that kind of vibe going on with a little bit of a better aesthetic. Some of the cases look really good, and some of them don't look as good as others, but yeah, they all are okay visually, which is one of the good things about it. For example, this Fuzz Octave pedal looks really good, but they all have a couple of things you need to know about them, especially this Octave Fuzz. So when I click the Octave on, it actually cuts my signal out and then it kicks back in, which is a bit weird. I would have liked to have seen less lag there between that switch going on and off, but it is what it is. It's a minor critique considering that, you know, they're not expensive, right? So there's that. It would have been great to have the normal switch position louder. For whatever reason, it's just way too quiet to my ear. It drops like 50% of your volume out when you're in that position. So just keep that in mind. Now, in terms of tone, it's all subjective. You might like some better than others, but I really like the Rocket. I thought this was great. The Mogwai sounded really good as well. I'm a big fan of this one. And the Pazuzu. This actually sounded great, but I did notice straight out of the box that any of the pedals that have like a rotatable switch, the button or the control comes straight off. There was a few that came loose as soon as I took them out of the box. So it doesn't even look like they're glued, which is a bit of an oversight. Now they may have been glued, but I can't see any on there. It doesn't even feel like there's anything on there that represents or resembles glue, I should say. So yeah, that's one of those things. The same with the Paradise pedal. It just came straight off again, that center control that rotates around. So with that aside, they're actually pretty well built. It feels like most of the jacks and the power socket and all that feels good. If you're looking for a shimmer reverb, this Divine pedal is really great, but I found the Paradise just too complicated. You really need the instruction manual, and yeah, I just feel like not having a mix control on some of those particular presets and sounds is a bit of an oversight. I mean, you want to be able to change the mix. You might be running this into an effects loop, and how do you change anything, right? It's one of those kind of things. I just don't sort of understand the logic there, but overall, there's some usable tones in here, but I definitely wouldn't be buying this one for me personally. We'll end on a positive note here. I really like this boost. I like what it did. It kind of gives you every type of different boost, from just a clean boost to an overdrive boost to a treble boost to all that kind of stuff in one. So this is a really smart pedal. The Pazuzu is like a vintage overdrive pedal essentially. It kind of sounds like a tube screamer in the first position, but they've called this the hardcore overdrive, whereas the Mogwai is the high gain one, and a Mogwai is out of Gremlins, and it's cute. It's kind of funny that they've chosen that, but I love the movie references. I think that's a really great touch. They're good value pedals considering what they are, but just get the super glue out if you plan on buying any of the ones that have one of those selector switches on there, like the Paradise, for example, because they all came off, which is a bit of a bummer, but definitely not a deal breaker considering some of these are like 40 bucks. So if you want to check these out, I'll link them down below. Thanks again for watching. My name's Shane. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell. Put a lot of work into this video. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.